In this video, we are going to learn how we can deal with the petty cash Imprest Float account, how we can manage the petty cash that we have given to multiple employees and they are providing us receipts against that amount. So let's see how we can deal with this. We are going to see how you can manage the petty cash Imprest account in QuickBooks. For example, if you have allocated the petty cash of certain amount to different employees, for example 5,000 rupees each employees, and you have 3 employees. So each of these employees will be managing these expenses on their own, and you will be provided with a weekly or daily report, and according to that report you will check all the bills that matches with the amount they have spent, and then only that amount, for example they have bills of 2,000 rupees, only that amount you will reimburse to make the float back to 5,000 rupees. And in this way you can manage all the petty cash expenses. But how we can track all the separate employees and all the petty cash Imprest accounts, let's see. So what we will do is we will create multiple accounts. First we will create the main account of the petty cash Imprest Float account, and then we will create the individual accounts, which is the sub account of the main account named after each employee. So let's see how we can do this. I'll click on the chart of accounts, and from here I'll go to the new account and select bank, because all the petty cash, cash accounts, saving accounts, all are considered in the bank nature. So let's continue, and we will name here petty cash Imprest account. This will be our main account. Then we will click on save and new, and now we will create a sub account, petty cash account for employee 1. This is the sub account of the main petty cash Imprest account. Save and new. Now let's create petty cash account for employee 2. Now instead of employee 2, you will name the employee so that you can manage it more effectively. And in the sub account, I'll again select the petty cash Imprest account as a main account. So let's consider these 2 employees. Click no. And now if we go in the chart of accounts, we will see the accounts like this. This is the main account and these are the sub accounts. Now let's also see an example that if I want to create one other account, name it as bank, which is a petty cash account for employee 3. And I forgot to mention it as a sub account, and I have saved and close. Select no here. And now this account is separately mentioned here. It doesn't come under the main account. So how we can do this on the main screen? Either we can right click and click on edit account and simply make it a sub account of the main account and save and close. We can do this as well. But if I want to do this from the main screen, what I can do is I can just hold it from this diamond sign and push it downwards. First of all, we need to be under the main account, and then we can simply again hold the diamond sign and push it forward. So that way it can come under the main account. Now let's see how we can manage this Imprest accounts. For example, I have issued 5,000 rupees to employee 1. How we can do this? Since we are issuing it from the main bank, obviously we will withdraw the money from the bank either from ATM or check, and then hand it over that cash to employee 1. So what we can do is we can go to the banking area and use the transfer funds option. Let's select the current date, and I am transferring from the Bank of America and transferring it to employee 1, and the transfer amount is 5,000 under the petty cash Imprest. Click save, and here is the 5,000 amount. Now similarly, let's do this for other 2 employees. I want to transfer the money from the Bank of America to employee 2, and this is on the current date. Let's mention 5,000 here, and let's consider it funds transfer. You can mention any memo obviously. So save and new, and let's quickly select the other one as well, employee 3 and 5,000. It's showing the current account balance here. So let's close this. Now every employee has 5,000 in the petty cash account, and the overall account of petty cash Imprest account is 15,000. Now let's see how we can enter the expenses for each particular employee and manage their petty cash. So I'll go to company and click on make journal entries. Now, for example, on this specific date, refreshments expense was made for a particular client. Let's say in the office, a client come for a meeting and this employee paid for the refreshments expenses from the petty cash, and that amount was, let's say, 750 refreshments of client, let's say, and that expense was done by employee 1, save and new. And similarly, stationery expense was done. This is an expense account, save and close, and this was 800, and that's also done by employee 1. So let's save and close. Now let's do it for the other employee. Let's say he also met with a client and spent something on refreshments, petty cash for employee 2, and he also spent some fuel expenses. The amount was, let's say, 1500 fuel and petty cash by employee 2, and he also spent in some car repairs. Let's say he was a marketing guy, so we issue them petty cash so that they can meet all these expenses. So car repairs, let's say 1700, and this was done by petty cash employee 2. Save and close. This is also 1700, save and close. And now we can go to the home tab, chart of accounts, and we can see every single detail here. The overall petty cash Imprest account is 9,300, out of which the amount we issued to employee 1 was 5,000, and they have made some certain expenses. If you want to see the complete ledger, you can just double click and see the complete details of it. So 5,000 was issued, and these are all the expenses on the left hand side and the deposits we have given on the right hand side. Similarly, let's see the details of employees 2. They have spent all of these expenses and we have issued them 5,000. Now, why this one is showing down and other ones are showing upwards? That's because we are doing all the entries in the same date. So the latest expenses or latest entries are showing upwards and the remaining ones are showing downwards. So that might be the case, but if you have some earlier transaction entered, they will show in correct sequence. Let's also check if we change the employee given date to, let's say, 1st of January 2024, how this will show up in the records. Now it will show the deposit first and the expenses afterwards. Similar thing, if we do this the same for this employee on 1st of January 2024, it will show you the correct sequence. Deposit will be shown first. It's arranged according to the dates. So deposit will be shown first and then all the expenses. So what we can simply do whenever we want to reimburse an employee, what we will do is we will make sure we have the bills for all of these expenses. And once we have all the details, we can simply add all of these expenses, which is 4150, and we will only reimburse that amount so that the amount of petty cash float comes back to 5,000. So here we have 4150 to be transferred to employee 2. 4150, I will transfer it from the Bank of America to employee 2. Now we have received and collected the bills of 4150. So let's transfer this. And now we can see that employee 2 petty cash Imprest account is back to 5,000. Now similarly, if you want to extract the petty cash reports for all the employees, just select the main account, right click here and click on the quick report to check the complete report. As we can see, this is for employee 1, this is for employee 2, and this is for employee 3. Now this is the complete report, but if you notice, we only have the amount column, which is showing all the positives and negatives, not the debit and credit separately. So if your company prefers the debit and credit, what you can do is easily customize this. I'll click on customize report, and from here, let's search in the columns. I will write debit here. Debit is not checked, so I'll check it. And again, credit is not checked. I'll check it and click OK. Now you can see the debit and credit separately and the amount as well. Now let's say if I want the debit and credit only and the balance, not the amount column. So either what we can do is hide directly from here. Just hold the column corner and overlap the other column, so it will automatically hide. Or otherwise, what you can do is just go to customize report, search for the amount, and if it is checked, just uncheck that and click OK. Now, if you want to print the report, you obviously don't need some extra columns. So you can either just hide it or resize it according to your requirements. So for example, the date needs more space, the number needs less space. You can adjust all of this. You don't need the split. You want to expand for the memo so that every detail can show properly. And then you can simply go to the print and click on save as PDF, or just directly click on print and print from here. You can obviously check the preview before printing. Now similarly, if you want to change the column positions, you can also do this in QuickBooks very easily. For example, if you have a requirement to show the date on the first column, when you hover over to the date, you will see this hand. That means you can just hold it with the left click and just move it anywhere you want. You can see this red arrow here, right here. So anywhere you place this, the column will shift to that area. Now, if we want to make sure that we print a complete report, I'll go to print and click on report and see print preview. Now here on the report, we had the balance column, but as we can see here, we don't have all the columns showing right here. So what we can do is just close this, and instead of portrait orientation, we can print to landscape if you have many columns. Also, we can make some adjustments of the columns and the page breaks, and then check the print preview and make sure it's showing all the columns you want to print. Now similarly, if you want to only save it as PDF, you can save it directly here. Just name the report like petty cash, and here it is saved as PDF. This is how it will show up. Now let's say that we have different amounts for different employees. We are not managing the same petty cash Imprest Float because the employee's nature of work is different. So some people, we are only managing the 5,000 Imprest, and for the other person, we might be managing 10,000 Imprest. So if you don't remember how much you need to reimburse, either you can just double click and check the first funds transfer so that you can get what amount you have issued and managing, or otherwise you can just right click, click on edit account and mention it in the description that 5,000 is the Imprest account, or any details like this. Now, even though we have mentioned this in the description, if I want to see that description on the front of the chart of accounts sheet or on the face of the chart of accounts window, what we can do is just right click on any column and click on customize columns, and I can enter or add the description in the chosen columns. So just select that description from the left hand side and click on add, and you can also move it up right after the name. Click OK, and now we can see this description right here. So that's how you can easily manage the petty cash Imprest Float for all the employees and make all the customizations and extract all the reports regarding petty cash. Now, obviously, this is not a fixed rule that you will only manage in this way. Some people manage all the things by write checks option. What they do is they create the employee account from here and then manage that accordingly. So there are many methods of managing this. I've only shown you what is more convenient and more easily to be managed. So don't be surprised if your company is using some other method. There are many ways of doing work in QuickBooks. So as long as it is producing the accurate reports and it's helping you and it's easier to use, you can opt for any method you find convenient. So just practice this by yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.